Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to continue on and wrap up this week's theme, exploring some of our favorite tracks that have come out this year so far. Today we're going to dive into something from Bruce Hornsby. This official video came out back in February of this year. The track is titled Indigo Park. Let's dive in and see what Bruce has in store for us today. Yeah, that's got some fun syncopation on it.
Roses in spring, the air was heavy as the thunder did sing.
Very light and bouncy melody.
Old time dark, pulled her on in and put her in water. There's a heightened sense of possibilities when you don't know shit and you're young and you're green. Turbulent twinge, it won't ease, and I'm in with you, only in my dreams.
Get it, man.
Let these days be over delight, captured in a rhythm and a rhyme. Watching these drawn lines chase your life's most scintillating times. Falling and flying up and down, lit up like a diamond hiding in the rough. Succeed or fail, it's all the same. It's only life, and life is enough. So whatever, it's life.
Just very light and effortless.
Learned how to drive an old 41 car, first top stick shift.
That the little violin staccato hits.
Taught me how to enter with a big. I made my great big entrance, greeted by the collective indifference of the neighborhood pool. I may be slipping, sliding back, fading away, from your view. Oh, let these days be your delight, captured in a rhythm and a rhyme. Watching these drawn lines chase your lights, most scintillating time.
Dude, it's just so inviting. Everything about this is just warm and light. There's so much levity.
Life is enough. So whatever, it's life and life.
This little post-chorus idea is so good. We saw some of these expressive chords at the intro, but we've drifted away from them for more traditional mainstream progressions. Oh, dang.
Sunlight, diamonds, water there at the concrete sand, sharp edges looking out for you.
I'm digging that harmony too, dude. The vocals.
Diving in head first, jackknife, perfect 10, hoping never ends.
Using the rim of the kit here, very nice.
Let these days be your delight, as if you're living in a dream. Watching these drawn lines trace your life's most scintillating scenes. Falling or flying up and down, lit up like a diamond hiding in the rough. Succeed or fail, it's all the same. In the end, life is enough.
Oh, we didn't go for the... Okay.
Never quite get there. Falling or flying up and down, lit up like a diamond hiding in the
So some vocalizations on top of the chorus. There we go. I thought it was going to end there on that half resolution, but then they went for it. Just really nice focus on release there. Dude, absolutely gorgeous track. Everything in here is just beautiful, consistently beautiful. I mean, honestly, from the start, as I had mentioned, there were some gorgeous chords in here. I'd call them spicy in that you just don't hear them too often in mainstream music. But I think for some people, when they hear spicy, they think of, hot or, a pain alongside a pleasure, like spicy foods. But what I mean here is just that they're different. You don't hear them too much. Not within the types of music that this is. And in a lot of ways, this reminds me of, certainly some lighter pop rock, maybe. And it reminds me of, like 90s U2 in some ways. But it's interesting because when I looked at the instruments, it's not what I got. I wasn't expecting something adjacent to that. But also the opening chords told me a different story. I thought we were in for something that I was really going to need to pay a lot of attention to. And that's not to say that this song lacks depth or complexity. I think it has those at times when it needs it. But the majority of this track, the verse and the chorus, which makes up most of this song, they're fairly straightforward. It's a track that you just kind of feel and live within for the moments that it's on. You don't really need to think too hard about it. It just sort of invites you in, gives you a big hug, and then moves on. Lets you go on with your life. It goes on with its. It's very interesting that the beginning doesn't really start that way. It sort of slips into something more comfortable while beginning with something a bit more cerebral. A very interesting start to this track. Once we get into that verse, though, dang, dude, it's so good. It is so good. I picked it up from the rhythmic bounciness in the chords that we kicked off with before the rest of the instruments started to move in. But there is a reduction of harmonic complexity, but an increase in rhythmic complexity. And it just instantly became bouncy. There's a strong element of groove there. And a general, a playfulness harmonically, but I want to save the harmonic talk for later. We'll explore what the song is saying in a future segment. But it is playful. That's a word I think still encompasses everything else here. The rest of the instruments come in and embellish. They strengthen this core idea of playfulness. Very rhythmic, very groovy, very light and dexterous, though. The violin comes in with some very soothing lines before shifting into its more staccato ornamental idea, layering little, not even layering, peppering in texture to this track. The bass is just laying down a very solid bass line. And the guitars seem to be in the same realm as the piano for most of this. Mostly playing chords, not necessarily as dexterous as the piano line is, but still within that same realm. We got some nice harmonies. The drums are light, not really going for something heavy, just keeping a solid groove in the background of all of this. And that kicks us into our opening verse. And I tell you, dude, I'm pretty sure I've heard Bruce Hornsby before, but I didn't really have an idea of what he sounded like. Love his voice, man. There's so much humanity in there. I was going to say soul, but I don't want it to get confused with like soulful vocals of the soul genre of music. But there's so much life in the way that he sings. Right from the start, I was immediately swept off my feet and pulled into a very different idea and feeling and realm. It really doesn't matter what I felt going into this recording session here of this video. I was somewhere else entirely once the verse kicked off. From there, we went into the chorus, which just lightens things up even more. It's more dexterous, more groovy. It drives forward a little bit until it doesn't, and we get that little post-chorus section that just feels ethereal, like floating. I loved it, man. I wish we had heard more of it. The fake out at the end, extending the chorus beyond that, and then getting a slightly extended post-chorus section. I was a little disappointed by that, but I think having my expectations delayed rather than unfulfilled only made that section feel sweeter when we actually landed on it and it presented the finale of the track. But all of this was just, it is gorgeous. That is the only word I really need to describe this. I can use as many words as I want to explain what is actually happening, what each of these instruments is doing, but gorgeous. That's it. That's probably going to be the title of the video. Just gorgeous. That's all you need to describe this. There is the bridge, though, bringing the energy down a little bit and re-exploring some of those spicier chords. I thought this was a good moment to bring the intro back and to find out more of what it was trying to say. I think that at the beginning of this track, I was wondering what kind of music are we in store for? But at this point, coming back to this idea, I was just more enthralled with how beautiful it was. It's not just an interesting chord progression, which it absolutely is on one level, but on another, it's just incredibly emotionally evocative. There's so much feeling explored here through this more linear chord progression. There's a little bit of melodic storytelling to it. It isn't just chord, 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 chord. There's some rhythmic bounciness in it. It is flexible, but it is, as far as I'm concerned, primarily creating atmosphere. And that atmosphere is exploration of beauty, of life, of emotion. It's how gorgeous life can be. It is full and rich and diverse, all from a series of chords. And that meant so much more to me after having experienced the levity of this track, the joy of this track. Again, when the song started, I was there for the technicality of it. It was a more complex chord progression than I expect. Where is this taking me? What is it doing? What is it doing? Here, though, in the bridge, no more expectations. I'm on the ride. Take me somewhere. And it absolutely did. So what is this song saying? Where did it take me? There's something slightly bittersweet in this track. I feel it particularly in the verse, though it does crop up a little bit in the chorus too. There is a joyfulness, almost the opposite of stress. Not necessarily relaxed, but carefree, maybe. That dominates most of this. A joyful, optimistic, carefree nature, almost something very childlike about this song, but it's not a childish track. It doesn't have the cornerstones of simplicity that songs that are trying to explore a purely child naivety or youthful naivety tend to have. There's still something mature in it. A matured lack of care. That doesn't really describe it well either, does it? Because the song does care about stuff. It just doesn't allow the stressors to bring it down. And I think that's what ultimately it feels like. It is a song about knowing your battles, or picking your battles, knowing your stresses. It's about, man, why is this so hard to talk about? It's about knowing what you can change and going for that, but also having the wisdom to understand what you have no power over and allowing those to be rather than being a burden upon you. It's about living a life that has matter, has meaning, but isn't overly focused on negativity. It feels mature, but also carefree, also youthful and exuberant. It is all of this combined and a little bit, I'd even say, nostalgic for the past at times. Maybe not wistful, but still remembering the good times. It feels somehow simultaneously of the past, the present, and the future all at once. And if my read on this is correct, it's some sort of mantra to live your life by. To find the joys in the little things and fixate on them, rather than allowing 1,000 tiny cuts of anxiety to wear you down. I don't know what any of this has to do with Indigo Park. With Indigo Park, I don't know what Indigo Park is. I assume it is a park that is probably quite colorful, as most parks tend to be. And maybe it's just the simplicity of being there in nature around humanity. Maybe that's all it's really looking at. It is certainly a simple view on life, but one that feels incredibly rich despite that. And at least that's what I get out of it. No part of this really feels negative. It doesn't ignore that aspect of life, but it doesn't focus on it either. It's the way I like to live, or the way I try to live, anyways. It's really easy to get stuck in the negativity of life, and a song like this is a good reminder to not allow that to wear us down. Let's hit some lyrics and see if they're anything along the same lines of what I got out of the music. I'm not entirely sure that what I got out of the music was exactly what Bruce was trying to say, but it's certainly a parallel to these lyrical ideas. The chorus in particular seems to be what I grabbed onto most. It says, "Let these days be your delight, captured in rhythm and rhyme. Watch these drawn lines trace your life's most scintillating times. Falling, flying, up and down, lit up like a diamond hiding in the rough. Succeed or fail, it's all the same. It's only life, and life is enough, so whatever." I really like that. It's only life. Some people might use that in perceive that in a negative light. It's only life, whatever. But life is enough. What we make of our lives should be enough. Succeed or fail, it's all the same. It's only life. I love that line right there. Let these days be delightful, and watch the lines trace your life's most scintillating times. To remember back on the fond days, not really fixate on the negative ones. To watch your memory capture these moments of your life as great as they are. The rest of the track seems to be a bit more personal, though. The first one is about taking a great leap into darkness, metaphorically. I think he says that there's a heightened sense of possibility when you don't know shit, you're young and you're green. The idea that when you're young, anything is possible. You have so much of your life ahead of you. You can do anything. It's sort of easier to make these leaps then. He says that he took the plunge in the old time dark. The air was heavy as the thunder rang out. The second verse, though, says that he learned to drive an old 1941 car. It was the first time he had a stick shift. A Carter Braxton Navarro Finn taught him how to enter with a big hit, and he made a great big entrance. But that now he feels that he's slipping, fading away from everyone's view, or maybe just from a specific person. He's not quite thought about as much anymore. So, like I said, the verses feel a bit more personal, and they certainly look back into the past more than I thought. My read of this track certainly had the past in it, but was sort of an equal weight given to all of time. The great moments of the past, the potential of the present, and whatever the future may bring us. Most of this verse, though, is looking backwards. Or sorry, most of this track is looking backwards. But I still feel like, as much as the song seems to be very much about Bruce, there is still that feeling, that vibe that I get out of it. It's about making the most of your days. It's about looking back on your past and being kind to yourself and allowing your failures to be moments of growth for your future, but never to be a point of fixation to tear yourself down. Succeed or fail, it's all the same. It's beautiful. At least that's my perspective on Indigo Park by Bruce Hornsby. What did you think of this? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you would like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Do you have your own take, perspective, or opinion on this track? Let me know. Put all of that, as well as anything else you'd like to add to the conversation, into the comment section below. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.